Her name and gruesome murder has created a national movement that has now taken her family to the White House. Relatives of Vanessa Guillen met today with President Trump, where he told them the Department of Justice is investigating her murder. Supporters rallied alongside the family in Washington, D.C. today, as Eyewitness News reporter Jalisa Irizarry shows us that also included some from San Antonio.
From hundreds of miles away, it's not hard to make out the pain the Guillen family is feeling.
It's very emotional for me to be here.
Here is D.C.'s National Mall, where the Guillen family rallied supporters together.
The Texas invasion of D.C. right now.
Including Janice Gonzalez, an activist all the way from San Antonio.
We still don't really know what happened to Vanessa. And if we continue to ignore what is happening and we don't seek the justice as a collective, who's to say that it won't be someone you care about or even your own family or you next time? So we have to stand united.
Investigators say Vanessa Guillen was murdered by another soldier on Fort Hood back in April. Police say the suspect killed himself, but his girlfriend was arrested in connection to the crime.
Her leadership has to be held accountable.
With emotions high, the Guillen family introduced the I Am Vanessa Guillen bill, a bill that would allow active duty service members to file sexual harassment and assault claims to a third-party agency instead of their chain of command. Guillen's family said she told them she was sexually harassed, but did not report it to her superiors for fear of retaliation. Fort Hood investigators said they did not find any evidence of that.
Never again.
A statement supporters refused to believe as they continue to seek answers and demand more.
The justice that's being denied to us in Vanessa's specific case, it was reprehensible and it's unacceptable, and we're here to say exactly that as a collective voice.
Jalisa Irizarry, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.